Welcome everyone. In this lecture, we are going to see the satellite link design. For satellite link design, we have to see some of the parameters that will influence the system design, like frequency band, atmospheric propagation effect, and multiple access techniques. So, as we already know about the frequency allocation, here in this table we have shown the frequency bands which are allocated for the satellite, like for mobile satellite services, which is used for the narrowband voice and data services. So it will be utilize the L band having the frequency range from 1.4 to 1.6 gigahertz. For digital audio radio services, the S band will be utilized, and which is having the range of frequencies 2.2 to 2.6 gigahertz. Fixed satellite services which are shared with the terrestrials are using the C band for 4 to 7 gigahertz frequency band, and the fixed satellite services which are government exclusive use will be using the X band, that is having very high frequency from 8 to 10 gigahertz. Again, there are some of the fixed satellite services which are broadband services and not shared with the terrestrial. We'll use the Ku band, which is ranging from 11.7 to 14.5 gigahertz, and broadcasting satellite services like D2H television will use the Ku band from 12.2 to 18.8 gigahertz. The sum of the fixed satellite services like broadband services which are not shared with the terrestrial purpose are used for K band, and that is having very high range from 20 to 30 gigahertz frequency. So this is the frequency allocation for different services that we are using. The major bands are the C band, Ku band and Ka bands, which are having the frequency range from 6 to 4 gigahertz, 14 to 11 gigahertz and 30 to 20 gigahertz. Over geostationary orbit, there is already a satellite which is using both the 6 by 4 gigahertz and 14 by 11 gigahertz, every separating 2 degree. This is the minimum spacing. 2 degree is the minimum spacing used for satellites in GEO to avoid interference from uplink and downlink earth stations. LEO and MEO satellite systems have similar constraint to GEO satellite systems, but that will require more satellite as each serve a smaller area of the earth's surface. As we know that with the LEO satellites which are very nearer to the earth's surface, and that antennas will occupy only a small portion of the surface of area, so that satellite number of satellites required will be more here. LEO and MEO satellites use multiple beam antennas to increase the gain of the satellite antenna beams and also to provide the frequency reuse. As we are occupying in LEO satellites will have a smaller portion of area, so the same frequency can be utilized by the another antenna for another coverage region of the beam antenna. So all communication links are designed to meet certain performance objectives, usually a bit error rate in digital link or signal to noise ratio in an analog link in baseband channels. The bit error rate or signal to noise ratio is determined by the carrier to noise ratio at the input to the demodulator in the receiver. The carrier to noise ratio is calculated at the input of the receiver and at the output terminals of the receiving antenna. In a satellite link, there are two signal paths, that is an uplink from earth station to the satellite, and the another path is downlink from the satellite to the earth station. So designing of a satellite systems requires knowledge of the required performance of the uplink and downlink, the propagation characteristics and range attenuation for the frequency bands being used at the earth station locations, and the parameters of the satellite and the earth stations. Some of the additional constraints may be imposed by the need to conserve RF bandwidth and to avoid the interference with others. So now we are going to see first the basic transmission theory. So that will give us the link design equation. or link equation we can call it. So the calculation of the power received by an earth station from a transmitting satellite is fundamental to the understanding of satellite communication. There are two approaches that are used for the calculation, that is, one is the use of flux density and another is the use of link equation. So here, when we have to first consider a transmitting source in free space and which is radiating a total power pt watts uniformly in all the directions. Such a source which is transmitting in all direction is called the isotropic source. So here in this figure we can see there is one isotropic source having the transmitting power of pt watts, and this is the surface of the sphere and which is separated by a distance of r. So how we can define the flux density at the surfaces which is apart from the transmitting source by distance r. So at a distance r meters from the hypothetical isotropic source which is transmitting RF power at pt watts, the flux density that is crossing this surface of a sphere with radius of r, and that is given as F is equal to pt, that is transmitting power divided by pi r square watt per meter square. So this is the flux density that is crossing the surface of the sphere and which is at a distance of r from the isotropic source. So we know here all the real antennas are directional and radiate more power in some direction than in other. Any real antenna has a gain of g theta. Here we can define g theta as the ratio of power per unit solid angle radiated in direction theta to the average power radiated per unit solid angle. That is, we can define like this is g of theta is equal to p of theta by p0 by 4 pi, where we can define p of theta is the power radiated per unit solid angle by the antenna and p of 0 is the total power radiated by the antenna. G theta is nothing but gain of the antenna at an angle theta. So from this figure we can see that this is the receiving antenna and this is the satellite. So the gain or g of theta in the direction of wanted satellite. In this direction we are defining the gain of an antenna g of theta. For a transmitter, so here what we have seen, the gain of theta. The reference for this angle theta usually we are taken to be in the direction in which the maximum power is radiated. Okay, so we can see that there are power is radiated in different directions, but the reference angle that we are taking the direction in which maximum power is radiated and which is often called as bore side direction of the antenna. The gain of the antenna is then the value of g of theta at an angle theta is equal to 0 degree, and this is a measure of the increase in flux density radiated by the antenna over that from an ideal isotropic antenna radiating the same total power. For a transmitter, that we can see here that output power pt watts which is driving a lossless antenna. From this figure we can see here this is a transmitter with output power pt watts which is driving a lossless antenna, and this antenna will have a gain of gt. Okay, and the flux density in the direction of the antenna bore side and which is at a distance r meter is we can define now as F is equal to pt gt by 4 pi r square. Okay, so for a transmitter with output power pt watts which is driving a lossless antenna gain and that is gt, the flux density in the direction of bore side of distance, this is the bore side direction. Bore side direction is nothing but where theta angle is equal to 0 degree, and this is the angle in which antenna will radiate maximum power. Okay, so our flux density is pt gt by 4 pi r square. So this product PTGT is often called the effective isotropically radiated power or EIRP, and this will describe the combination of transmitting power PT and antenna gain in terms of an equivalent isotropic source with power PTGT watts, which is radiating uniformly in all directions. We can see here this is the transmitting antenna which is radiating uniformly in all the directions, and this is the receiver here through the receiving antenna, which is again having the another gain GR. Now the transmitting source will be transmitting the power PT watt, and gain of this antenna is GT. So we are defining flux density towards this distance R is PTGT by 4 by R square, whereas this is the receiving antenna which is having area of A meter square and gain of GR. This is the receiving antenna. Okay. So if we had an ideal receiving antenna with an aperture area of A meter square, we would collect the power PR watts, and which is given by PR is equal to flux density into area of the antenna. Okay. So a practical antenna with a physical aperture area of AR meter square will not derive the power transmitted, but because some of the energy incident on the aperture is reflected away from the antenna and some is absorbed by lossy component. So this reduction in efficiency is described using an effective aperture. See, what we are saying here is practically antenna with a physical aperture area AR meter square will not derive the power transmitted because some of the energy incident on the aperture is reflected away from the antenna and some is absorbed by the lossy component. So there is reduction in the efficiency of the received power, and that is described as effective aperture area, which is AE is equal to eta A by AR, where we are defining eta A is the aperture efficiency of the antenna. The aperture efficiency eta A, which is counts for all the losses between the incident wavefront and the antenna output port. This includes the illumination efficiency or aperture taper efficiency of the antenna, which is also related to the energy distribution produced by the feed across the aperture, and also other losses due to the spillover, blockages, phase errors, diffraction effects, polarizations, and mismatch losses. So for paraboloidal reflector antennas, efficiency is typically which is in the range of 50 to 75%, lower for small antennas and higher for larger gas grain antennas. Horn antennas can have efficiencies of approaching near about 90%. Thus we can define the power received by a real antenna with physical receiving area AR and the effective aperture area A meter square is. Here we are defining AR as physical receiving area, but actually the effective aperture area that will receive the energy is AE. So already we have defined A is efficiency eta into physical aperture area. So the power received PR is nothing but PTGT into effective aperture area divided by 4 pi R square. If we are denoting this one as equation A, now we have to note here that this equation is essentially independent of the frequency if GT and AE are constants. There is no any frequency term included here. So this is independent of frequency, and we can consider the GT and AE are constants within a given band. The power received at an earth station, which is depends only on the EIRP, effective isotropic radiated power of the satellite. The effective area of the earth station antenna and the distance R. So it will depend on the EIRP, effective area of the earth station antenna and the distance R. A fundamental relation in antenna theory, gain and area of an antenna are related as we are defining here antenna gain G as 4 pi AE by lambda square. Here A is nothing but effective aperture area. So from this equation, for effective aperture area, when we are rearranging the equation, G is equal to 4 pi AE by lambda square. So AE is nothing but G lambda square by 4 pi. Now this equation we are going to substitute into the equation number A, that is for received power, PR is PTGTA by 4 pi R square. So when we are substituting the gain equation in equation A, received power can be defined as, now in place of AE we are writing, as we are writing the equation for received power at the receiving antenna. So this gain is for receiver antenna gain GR. So it is GR lambda square divided by 4 pi into 4 pi R square. So when we are rearranging, this will give us PR is equal to PT GT GR by 4 pi by lambda bracket square. So this expression is known as the link equation, and it is essential in the calculation of power received in any radio link, where the term 4 pi by lambda bracket square is known as the path loss, and this is denoted by LP. Therefore we can write here the PR, or from after the path loss equation we can write PR is, what is path loss equation is, from the above equation denominator is nothing but LP. So power received is EIRP into receiving antenna gain divided by path loss. Okay, so when we are collecting all these factors, that is link equation, path loss, LP, we can define the equation for received power is EIRP into receiving antenna gain by path loss, and which is expressed in watts, and in decibel we can also represent it. So we have PR is equal to EIRP plus GR minus LP. When we are expressing in dB, see what is it? PR is equal to EIRP into receiving antenna gain divided by path loss. So this is in watts. Now when we are representing in decibels, this PR is equal to EIRP plus GR, that is receiving antenna gain, minus path loss. When we are representing this one as equation B, now EIRP we are representing for decibel is 10 log to the base 10 PTGT dB watt. GR is 10 log to the base 10 4 pi AE by lambda square in dB, and LP is 10 log to the base 10 4 pi R lambda bracket square, and which is expressed in again dB. So this representation is idealized, and in which there are no additional losses in the link, and also this will describe the transmission between two ideal antennas in otherwise empty space. That is, if there is no any loss, additional losses are not there, these equations are called as ideal antenna equations, and which is in empty space. But in practice we need to take into account of some more complex situations in which we have losses in atmosphere due to attenuation by oxygen or attenuation by water vapor, rain, and there are some of the other losses in the antennas at each end of the link, that is losses at the receiving antenna, losses at the transmitting antenna. So there may be number of losses we can consider here. So possible reduction, because of which there is possible reduction in antenna gain due to the mispointing also. So all of these factors are taken into account by the system margin, and we need to calculate to ensure the margin allowed is adequate, so that we can write the equation for received power PR as EIRP plus GR minus LP minus LA is attenuation loss minus LTA is, which is transmitting antenna loss, and LRA is receiving antenna loss, and which are expressed in decibels. LA is attenuation in atmosphere. So the received power here, how we can express is, the expression when we are representing in dB watt means decibels or greater or less than 1 watt. These units are we are using here are dBW or dBm, and which are widely used in communication engineering. EIRP being the product of transmitter power and antenna gain is fun quoted in dB watt. Okay. So this is because most satellite links use either frequency modulation for analog transmission or phase modulation for digital transmission. In both the modulation schemes, the amplitude of the carrier is not changed when the data are modulated into the carrier. So carrier power is always equal to the received power PR. So from this we can see that what are the losses that will take place during the transmission from the satellite to the receiving antenna or receiver earth station. So here we are considering this one satellite as a isotropic source which is transmitting RF power of PTGT watt, and antenna is a lossless antenna, lossy antenna having transmitting antenna loss of LTA. During the path there are some of the path losses will get included. There is some path loss LP, then because of the atmospheric loss LA, and we can also consider the rain attenuation losses, then earth station antenna gain GR, and receiving antenna loss LRA, and this is the power received by the R. So this will have the loss gain of GR. So in this way the received power PR we can define as PR is the total transmitted power, that is RF power is PTGT, or EIRP we can write it as, plus the gain of an antenna, receiving antenna GR, minus path loss LP, minus atmospheric attenuation loss LA, minus loss of transmitting antenna minus loss of receiving antenna. So it is PR is equal to EIRP plus GR minus LP minus LTA minus LA minus LRA, and which we are representing in decibels. So in this lecture we have seen that this link equation for the satellite antennas and received power PR. So what is our link equation? PR is PTGT GR by 4 pi R by lambda bracket square, and received power is EIRP plus receiver antenna gain minus all the losses that will be during the transmission, path loss, attenuation loss, transmitting antenna loss, and receiving antenna losses that we are subtracting from the transmitted power. So this, and hence we can find out or we can calculate the received power at the earth station. So this is all about the link equation here, and with the help of basic transmission theory we have calculated the link equation. In the next lecture we are going to see the system noise temperature or effect of the system noise temperature and G by T ratios. Thank you.